a black suitcase, a petrol station on the M1, one nod between strangers, and over £250,000 vanishes into the back of a saloon car. The man who left it behind didn't panic. He filled his tank, paid in cash, and drove north like nothing had happened. But that single moment would unravel one of the most sophisticated money laundering networks Britain had ever seen. This wasn't your typical drug gang operation. No violence, no threats, no bodies, just quiet, clean transfers washing hundreds of millions through crypto wallets and shell companies. From UK street corners to Russian oligarchs, from ransomware hackers to the Kinahan cartel. What started with a routine traffic stop would expose a financial empire that reached from Birmingham to Moscow, and the truth was more disturbing than anyone imagined. It began on an ordinary Tuesday morning in November 2021. A black saloon car travelling southbound on the M1 motorway toward London. Nothing unusual about it. The driver, Fawad Sayedi, had no criminal record, no gang connections, nothing that would raise red flags. But when police stopped him during a routine check, they found something that changed everything. Hidden in specially designed compartments throughout his car was over £250,000 in cash. Not loose notes thrown in a bag, but carefully wrapped, organised and stored like a professional operation. Sayedi didn't argue. He didn't offer explanations. He just sat in that interview room, silent. And in that silence, investigators realised they hadn't caught a street-level dealer. They'd caught a thread that, when pulled, would unravel something massive. The serial numbers on those banknotes told a story. They had travelled from East London flats, Birmingham garages, Glasgow warehouses, each batch linked to organised drug sales, but instead of being reinvested on the streets, the money was disappearing into something else entirely. The National Crime Agency called it Operation Destabilise. What they found wasn't just a laundering network, it was a financial weapon. The system was brilliant in its simplicity. Forget everything you think you know about money laundering. This wasn't about dodgy nightclubs or offshore accounts. This was corporate-level precision disguised as everyday life. Picture this. A university student in Birmingham receives a text. Just an address and a time. He drives to a car park, picks up a black holdall, and delivers it to a hotel room in Cardiff. Same day return. Cash payment. No questions asked. That student was Seaman Kuksov, son of a Russian oil executive. On paper, he was studying in the UK. In reality, he moved £12 million in just 10 weeks. Always cash, always fast, always untraceable. Then there was Vladimir Jekta, who delivered close to £9 million before being caught. Like Kuksov, he claimed he was just a courier. No criminal record, no gang affiliations. Just a regular person moving extraordinary amounts of money. The network had over 55 locations across the UK. Lay-by on the M6, service station near Manchester, hotel car park in Wales. Each location used only once, then discarded. No courier knew the full route. No drop point was ever repeated. But here's where it gets interesting. These couriers weren't the end of the chain, they were just the beginning. Once that cash changed hands, it entered a completely different world. A digital world where British drug money became Russian state assets. The money flowed through two shadowy networks with innocent-sounding names, Smart and TGR. But behind these names were some of the most sophisticated criminals the UK had ever encountered. When investigators started mapping the money flow, they discovered something that chilled them to the bone. This wasn't just about drugs or even organised crime. They were looking at a system that connected UK street money to Russian intelligence operations. At the centre of Smart was a Katerina Zhdanova, a woman who looked nothing like a criminal mastermind. Glossy photos from Dubai rooftop bars, business panels across Europe, crypto conferences where she spoke about digital finance innovation. To most people, she was just another crypto influencer. But the US Treasury had been watching. Zhdanova's network was the go-to service for some of the world's most dangerous cybercriminals. Groups like Ryuk, Conti and Trickbot, the same hackers who crippled NHS systems and held corporations hostage, all used her services to clean their ransomware profits. The second network, TGR, was run by George Rossi, a Ukrainian-born finance expert operating from Moscow's Federation Tower. His specialty was physical cash, especially UK drug money. When the NCA followed the notes from couriers like Sayedi and Kuksov, they all led back to Rossi's network. But investigators soon realised they were dealing with something far more complex than two separate criminal enterprises. The money trails didn't just connect Smart and TGR, they connected them to legitimate-looking shell companies, crypto exchanges, and most disturbingly, to sanctioned Russian officials. The same laundering routes that cleaned drug money were also helping Russian oligarchs bypass UK sanctions. Property investments, media funding, even payments to Russia Today's UK operations, all flowing through the same channels that processed Birmingham drug cash. And then there was the Kinahan connection. The notorious Irish cartel, facing a $5 million bounty from the US government, had been quietly using these same networks to move money out of Ireland and the UK. What started as a British investigation had uncovered a truly international criminal conspiracy. The breakthrough came when investigators realised they weren't just tracking money, they were tracking a national security threat. The same system washing drug profits was also helping fund Russian state propaganda and circumvent international sanctions. Communication intercepts revealed something extraordinary. Shell companies tied to TGR were found investing in UK property on behalf of Vladimir Magomedov, a businessman linked to the Russian Ministry of Defence. In several cases, funds moved directly from wallets that had processed UK drug money to accounts supporting sanctioned Russian entities. The pattern was undeniable. British street money wasn't just being cleaned, it was being weaponised, converted to cryptocurrency, bounced through Dubai shell companies, and used to support Russian state operations in the UK. This wasn't just organised crime anymore, it was economic warfare, and it was happening right under the noses of UK regulators. When Operation Destabilize finally moved, it moved big. This wasn't just a UK operation, it was a coordinated international strike involving the FBI, DEA, French financial police, and sanctions investigators from multiple countries. The investigation had been building since 2021, with arrests and seizures continuing through 2024. Teams hit addresses across London, Manchester, Glasgow, and Birmingham simultaneously. In France, police arrested Ekaterina Zhdanova near Bordeaux as part of a separate money laundering investigation. In Ireland, customs officials seized crypto wallets linked to Kinahan facilitators. The numbers were staggering. 84 arrests, over £20 million seized, more than 100 crypto wallets frozen or blacklisted, and dozens of shell companies permanently shut down. But the real damage came from the sanctions. The US Treasury designated Zhdanova and her network under cybercrime laundering provisions. Her Dubai apartment, her shell companies, her crypto wallets, all frozen. George Rossi and his TGR network face the same treatment, though Rossi himself remains at large. The couriers were the first to face justice. Fawad Sayedi, the man whose arrest started it all, received 4 years and 4 months. Semen Kuksov got 5 years and 7 months. Vladimir Jekta received 5 years. The judge called the scale of the operation industrial, but the masterminds proved harder to catch. Ekaterina Zhdanova was arrested in France in late 2023 and remains in pre-trial detention facing separate money laundering charges, though her connection to Operation Destabilize continues to be investigated by international authorities. George Rossi remains at large, with his last known location being Dubai. His companies are defunct, his accounts frozen, but he faces multiple international warrants and US financial sanctions. The network has been dismantled, but questions remain. How many more couriers are out there? How many more wallets went undetected? And perhaps most importantly, how many more systems like this are still operating? What makes this case so disturbing isn't just the scale, it's the sophistication. This wasn't a gang running a crude laundering operation. This was a financial weapons system that turned British drug money into Russian state assets. The suitcase that started it all contained more than just cash. It contained evidence of how modern organised crime really works. No borders, no loyalty to any nation, just pure profit flowing through digital channels that most of us don't even understand. The sentences are in for many of the foot soldiers, the networks are down, but the blueprint remains. Somewhere, in another city, another country, another digital wallet, someone is already building the next version of this system. The question isn't whether it will happen again, The question is whether we'll catch it before it's too late. What do you think? Were the sentences enough, or did Operation Destabilize just scratch the surface of something far bigger? Let us know